Bloom and Gloom, Luna fanboys unite! Greetings and welcome, bronies and random YouTubers. My name is Shadowfire, and I'm here to give you my opinion/review of Season 5, Episode 4. But before we get into that, I just want to say that when Equestria Daily posted the synopsis for this episode, which was, and I quote, Apple Bloom has high anxiety over getting her cutie mark and it begins to turn her life into a nightmare, end quote. Who did not see this coming? Especially with the word nightmare specifically in there. Last season, Sweetie Belle had a nightmare, and Best Princess came to intervene. In the season before that, Scootaloo had a nightmare, and Best Princess came to intervene. So, an Apple Bloom nightmare episode with Princess Luna was inevitable. The run-through goes like this. The CMC learned that Babseed, what we gonna do, gotta... Okay, well, anyway, so she got her cutie mark, and after talking a little, the others are worried about things like, what if they don't like their cutie mark? What if their friends don't like their cutie mark? What if their families don't approve of their cutie mark? This causes Apple Bloom to have layered nightmares, which each of these questions are explored in the over-the-top nature that is a nightmare. Luna intervenes and the CMC learn the obvious lesson about cutie marks that should honestly be one of the most basic lessons about the topic in the public educational curriculum. At first, it seems like the writers are attempting to have this be an accepting who you are episode. But instead of an actual moral, I think that this was just simply an epitome of child development and the regular anxieties that go with it. When kids reach a certain age, they start to worry about similar issues, and honestly, there is no moral to this story. Like I said, accepting who you are may be the intended theme, but Apple Bloom already liked who she was and was only worried that her cutie mark might force her into being something that she didn't want to be, or would drive a wedge between her and her family and friends. Grading system on what it was trying to be, and again this is subjective to the viewer, but this time I believe it was 1, an allegory for developing children's typical existential crisis, and yes, the grading system can be specific like that, 2, sympathy, and 3, character development. So, number 1, an allegory for developing children's typical existential crisis. Growing up can be hard, and the CMC are the characters in NLP that are used to explore these stories. Yes, the main 6 grow and develop as characters throughout the series, but that's the same for every pony. You never stop growing as a person. The CMC are used for more early development stories usually, and this is definitely one of them. They begin the story with... Wait, what is that? What is that? Oh, sweet Luna, some pony make that for real. Anyway, they hear that Babs finally has her cutie mark, what they're all trying to accomplish. At first, they're happy for her, but then they realize that she's no longer a crusader. They really should have an alumni association. That way members who have got their cutie marks can help those who have yet to get theirs. Anyway, Sweetie Belle, who only moments before was excited for Babs and said that she bet she'll grow up to be a celebrity stylist, like that's the best thing in the world, turns around and says that she would hate to cut hair all day, like she's disgusted with it. And then we get this bunk.
Can you imagine getting stuck with a cutie mark you didn't like?
No, I can't. It's been made very clear that a cutie mark isn't some all-defining thing that is given to you at random. It is a magical manifestation of something that you love, something that you enjoy, something you're good at, passionate about, and all around it's a part of you all along. You aren't defined by your cutie mark. You define it. It's impossible to have one you don't like. Okay, so I'm gonna say this now, and I think that these issues are very relatable for developing kids, but the medium that they're using, or at least the way that they are using it, really hurt the episode's score in this department, because with a small amount of good sense, all of these issues can be dismissed from the get-go. And I'm not gonna say something jaded like, kids today are lacking good sense anyway, so it fits. Because, though I've seen that a lot, there have been a hoofful of kids who have proven to me that good sense isn't lost in today's generation, and maybe elsewhere there are even more good kids with good sense as well. Even if the majority that I've seen are lacking it, I'd like to think that I've just been seeing the few places that are the case. Take away that focused lens on all the bad apples. Oh look, an apple pun. Anyway, take that away and I bet the majority of kids in the world are smarter than people give them credit for. Anyway, back on topic. So, we have the fear that the cutie mark will be something that they don't like, the fear that friends will not like it, and the fear that family won't accept it. That night, Apple Bloom shares her fears with Applejack, who, if Apple Bloom was listening, said that no pony is going to make you move out, and a cutie mark won't change you. This isn't a figurative statement, it is literal. The Apple family is a tight-knit family with strong bonds that never make Apple Bloom move out, especially over something stupid like that. And Applejack says the resolution plain as day, in a nice soothing melody too. A cutie mark won't change you, no matter what you get. This is a fact, and exactly what Apple Bloom learns at the end of this dream trip. Should've listened to Big Sister. So, we enter the first dream layer, which I think should have had more tells that it was a dream. It drags on longer than it should before making the audience aware, if they weren't already betting on it. The only tell that was early on was the pest pony appearing out of nowhere like the three wise men following the star that led him to Apple Bloom. I mean, if it wasn't a dream, why was he there, knowing exactly what was going on with Apple Bloom's cutie mark? But anyway, we get some good dry humor from him, and possibly some world building with the new creature, Twittermites. I say possibly because this was something that Apple Bloom learned for the first time in a dream. They could just be dream creatures, or they may actually exist in Equestria. Who's to say at this point? Apple Bloom is good at her job of rounding them up, but she doesn't really want to do this job forever. After Diamond and Silver appear out of the ether and tease her, this is where you kind of know that it's a dream, she runs off and is suddenly in the middle of the Everfree Forest. A voice from nowhere takes away her cutie mark. I know who everyone thinks it is at this point, but no. And she goes back to the town being ravaged by Twittermites. Trying to round them up, she finds that her cutie mark missing has taken away her ability to do the job. Then she gets the bad ending and is zapped into the next dream layer. This layer explores her fear of her friends leaving her if she got her cutie mark, and honestly, I find it hard to believe that Apple Bloom really believed that her friends would turn their backs on her, especially so rudely. She gets rid of her cutie mark again, but then her friends get their cutie marks and shun her yet again. The next layer is the fear of family rejection, which is actually quite comical as every pony starts talking in Big Mac's voice for some reason. And the final layer was just random cutie marks, which the trauma of her previous layers made her freak out because, cutie marks, she doesn't want to have anything to do with them at this point. As we go into the dream layers, with each one passing by, the dreams become more and more ridiculous and obvious that they're dreams. Even though Apple Bloom never figures this out. Even though I don't like how good sense could blow apart the medium that they used for this story, the resolution was good, so long as they remember what they've learned about cutie marks from now on. Even though it should probably be part of the basic equestrian educational system, the episode made it undeniably clear what a cutie mark is, and looking ahead at episode 6 synopsis, I don't think that they'll be remembering it. Well, we'll see. I'm gonna give this one a B. Relatable concerns for developing kids, and the dream layers were good, though the first one needed to be established to the audience that it was a dream sooner. But the medium that they used and how they used it had a hole in it large enough you could fit Richard the Hydra through it! Next category, sympathy. A. What? Explanation? Well, throughout the episode, you can really feel Apple Bloom's frustration, worries, and pain, physical and emotional, that she was feeling as the dreams tormented her more and more. But most of all, the background music. You might have overlooked it, but rewatch the episode and pay particular attention to the background music, and you'll find that it is telling the story just as much, if not more, than anything else. It was brilliant, going from lighthearted to shock to anger to outright crazy. Then, of course, to wonderment as Luna shows up, and just the illusion of the dream was completely broken, so enough said. Final category! Character development. More specifically, Apple Bloom's development as a character. This was one of the episodes dedicated to the all part of growing up thing for Apple Bloom, dealing with some of the typical insecurities growing up. I've already talked about how the medium they used and how they used it was a bit faulty, but that whole spiel aside, I think that the episode did pretty well on it. My only real apprehension is that it wasn't Apple Bloom growing out of an already established insecurity, it was introducing and then getting rid of an insecurity in one episode, which is only a problem because the resolution doesn't feel as though it was big growth. It was sort of like going back to the start of the episode where she didn't have the insecurity to begin with. Hopefully they keep what they learned in this episode, but taking this as a standalone story, I'd say that it did what it set out to accomplish. It put Apple Bloom through this general staple of childhood development. But most of all, I think that this episode was trying to target people of this general age where they are going through things like this and telling them that it's okay. That, like Sweetie Belle and Scooch shared in Apple Bloom's fears and apprehensions about getting their cutie marks, or rather, growing up, that you aren't alone in these worries and that you have the power to make it better or worse for yourself. I don't know, maybe I'm grasping at my own preconceived ideas about the subject matter, but that's why I say I'm here to give my analysis/opinion. Opinion's part of that, and this is mine. That aside, I feel as though there wasn't much growth in this episode. Yes, they got through a major staple of growing up, but in the end, they seem the exact same as they did in the beginning before the problem ever came up. My problem with the medium has less to do with the Crusaders and more with the Ponyville educational system, but all these seem like very important basic things to know. So anyway, I'm just gonna give this part a C+. Not good, not bad, which makes this episode as a whole B+. Ending notes, well, just this one. Did any pony else notice the difference with the voices in the CMC and Luna? I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the CMC sounded just slightly older, which would be an awesome and subtle nod to the fact that a lot of time has passed since they were first introduced to the series. As for Luna, she sounded much more relaxed and adjusted to modern speech now than ever before. I loved the slight echo effect that they had on her as well. Just everything about her voice this time, I'm a major Princess Luna fan. The only reason my DeviantArt page isn't overflowing with pictures of her is because I don't know if my artistic abilities could do her justice, or well, that's been the case until recently. I think I could do it now, and probably should give it a go, but that's all beside the point. I'm trying not to gush over Luna in this video just because she's made an appearance, which is why I tried not to talk about her until now, but even now I don't mean to gush, so I'm just gonna end this video before I do. Next episode is Tanks for the Memories. With a title like that, you'd expect there to be a little bit less silly of an episode, but I doubt MLP is actually ever going to tackle an episode about loss of life. At least not as it is at the moment. But I hope to see you in the next video as I talk about, spoilers, 1, 2, 3, an episode where Rainbow tries to stop winter so that Tank doesn't have to hibernate. Until next time, remember to have fun. Bye!